questions and answers
Oh,
to
yeah.
come and ask and say, you know, what does it take? What kind of time commitment do we need? What kind of tools, as you had mentioned, what kind of work goes into these? It's a good opportunity for people to come and ask those kinds of questions.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
And can I show this
Yes.
right now? This is sort of like what you might get to help you get started. This is the pattern.
Yep.
She's very talented. She makes her own patterns, but you'd start with the wood. They would cut a piece of wood out for you, then give you the pattern, and you would start chipping away what isn't supposed to be there, just leaving what's supposed to be there. And there is the finished product. So this was lent to me by one of the excellent carvers, so I can see what I'm aiming for.
Now,
1, 2, 3.
obviously a lot of detail, a lot of work goes into that. How much time would it
It
take?
will depend on
skill level.
on your skill,
Exactly.
and also the piece. For example, I'm doing this and it's taking me a lot because it's really big, but something like this, it's quite easy because this is called relief carving, and you only chip away the rest and you leave the leaves to stand out. And it can take you a couple of weeks, or if it's a really big piece and you don't have much time, it can take you months. That will depend completely on you and the size of what you're making.
And I guess with any artist, right, some can just pick it up naturally, others have to work at it a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about this because this really kind of struck me. This polar bear in the center of the table here.
Yeah.
Just describe this. Did one of you carve this? Or?
That's the same carver who does the Santa Claus, Craig Miller, who is the president this year.
Okay.
That is called the habitat. So you can have a carving by itself. For example, my ducks would be displayed by itself in one category. But there's a category where you display it in its habitat. So this is why he has the polar bear with, I guess, the icebergs. But yes, he cuts his own wood to start with, then chips away, works at it, uses, there are some displays or magazines that show these animals, because the polar bear can be very tricky because it's got the smaller head.
Yeah. And I'm not sure.
And then he paints it. Sometimes his wife helps him.
And I'm not sure if the viewers can see this at home or not, but there is a lot of small detail that you could really only appreciate if you really look up close and see the
lines.
the fine lines and the brush strokes and the shading and the painting. Like we said, it's not just a matter of just carving something, it's a lot of detail.
Yeah,
But
and
as Alicia said, another person might have just left this smooth and maybe just the wood color.
Yeah.
You can do that. You don't have to paint it if you don't want to.
You can do whatever you want, right?
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
That butternut wood is very gorgeous. It has swirls in it and designs, and a lot of people that will carve in butternut will just put a clear coat on it and leave the swirls showing and not cover them up. Just depends what your goal is and what it turns out to be.
Do you find your choice of material is tougher, wood as opposed to another material? Do you find it's more difficult to carve out of certain materials?
Well, they usually started with basswood.
yeah, they start with basswood. In Mexico, I start with pine because there's no basswood. But how difficult it is with the wood, it will depend on the wood itself. For example, cedar is really easy to carve. Also, pine is also really easy. Basswood also is easy. But there are some hardwoods that
Maple would be hard.
Maple will be very hard. But you can, if you want to make something with maple, you can make a table or something that will last a lot and something tough. In Mexico, there was a carver who made a door. A whole door.
And again, it's a good point you raised, though.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, I mean, it doesn't just have to be figurines and statues. It can be, you said, a bed frame, a dresser. I mean, if you're really ambitious.
Yes.
Again, there's no ceiling to
what you can do. And for example, mine, I made that design myself.
You just hold it up for the camera there, yeah. And so just describe that, Elisa. How long did this specific piece take you?
Well, this is taking me a couple of months, but I'm not doing it every day, so don't worry, it's not that difficult. But this is a sword. It's basswood, it's a sword and a vine. And I just make a design one day in my notebook, and well, that could look cool in wood.
And that's a great thing, again, freedom.
Freedom,
right? If you can dream it, you can carve it.
Exactly, and also if you want more creativity, there's a lot of creativity, a part of wood carving, painting it. It's different techniques to painting, different materials to paint also. You can paint with a brush, or you can also sponge it all. Yeah.
There was one person there using a spray machine.
Ah,
I
yes.
missed that. That they said was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
What did he do? A fish example? A little fish?
Oh yes,
Rainbow? Just spray
a
it on the
rainbow
different-
fish, and it was
Beautiful.
incredible because he told us how to make it look real, and there was some dots in the picture of the fish, and he made also the dots like there was just there. It was like no different
And
between
it
a
was
real
sort of a
fish.
little- did he plug that sprayer in? You plugged it in? And
You plug it in,
Right.
and you connect it to the electricity, and you paint.
And it was fast.
Yeah.
Very fast.
Let's talk about the tools here. I noticed they're on the table as well. If we can just maybe pick those up and,
Okay.
and kind of run us through, for those of you out there wondering, so what do I do? Do I carve it with a saw? Do I just explain some of these? They look like almost chisels.
Yeah, these are chisels. These are the ones I'm working with this kind of piece. You need a mace that's there, and
Like a
the
mallet.
kind, yeah,
The mallet here.
yeah. And what kind of tools? It will depend on the design. For example, this one here is the one that I use more. So what you do is put this on the table, and with the
mallet.
with the mallet,
The mallet here, I'll pass you the mallet there.
you just start doing this.
Okay.
And it's easy. It's quite easy. If you're having a really bad day and the wood is hard, it's physical and it's really relaxing.
Yeah.
Get it all out.
And so
Yeah.
you don't really have to worry. Safety, of course, you always have to make sure
Oh,
you're safe,
yes.
but it's maybe not as dangerous as you would think.
No.
Lisa has a comment about the safety.
Yeah, well, when I was starting, my mom was like, "You're going to cut yourself. You're going to lose a thumb." I was like, "No, it's not. It's not dangerous. It's not difficult. What you really need to be very aware about is that your tools have to be sharp, always sharp,
Sharp is safer.
yes, it's safer. Also, if you're worried about cutting yourself, you can use gloves.
Yeah, so fish filleting gloves. Some people have leather gloves.
And some people have gardening gloves, so there's no worry about.
And you can just, there's a sort of a sticky tape that you can wrap on, if you're carving towards your thumb and you're afraid you're going to cut your thumb, you can have it wrapped. So it's pretty safe.
Yeah.
And this is basically your starting knife for if you're going to be doing the finer kind of carving. And keep it sharp, and you don't have to use too much power.
Exactly.
Not like yours,
Yeah,
a little more power.
Yeah, it was funny because when I was started, and everything was quiet, and just I started smelling it, and everyone was like, "Who's there?" And it was me.
Again, Elizabeth, go over, for those that might have missed it off the top, exactly when the group meets.
All right, every Tuesday from 7 to 9 at Valley View Community Center, which is, what street is that?
I can't recall off the top of my head, but I'm
Anyways,
sure it's
near
just
Valley
a
View
phone
School.
book or internet
Yeah.
search away.
We do have a telephone number for those people that are wanting more information, 726-4380.
Admission $3 for the drop-in, right? To
Drop-in.
come in and learn about, again, everything they want to know. They don't have to carve on their first night. They can learn and watch, correct?
Right?
Yes.
Ask questions, meet some of the experienced carvers, walk around like I do and just see all the wonderful talent, all the wonderful works of art.
Go through the process. You
Yes.
said you like to sketch your designs first, maybe.
Yeah.
And then kind of go through them and slowly kind of chip away
Yeah.
really at them.
And generally, one of the more experienced carvers will say, "Do you want to begin?" And he will choose something simple, perhaps like a letter opener. He'll bring some that are ready to be worked on, go through what tools they should use, and go step by step with a group of beginners.
Perfect. And again, for those of you that missed it as well, Wheat City Carvers 7th Annual Show and Competition. That takes place Saturday, April 14th, 11 until 5. Sunday, April 15th, 10:30 until 4. 2 days of, well, action-packed, I guess you could call it, and carvings and a whole bunch of other things. That taking place at the Royal Oak Inn and Suites. Admission is $3. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us
You're
here
welcome.
today.
You're welcome.
Our pleasure.
My guests today have been Miss Elizabeth Tardif and Elisa Villanueva from the Wheat City Carvers Club. I'm Kevin Martel, saying thank you very much for joining us here on Westman Communications Group TV. Bye for now, and we'll chat again.